Om Jananing Sharadang Deving Ramakrishnam Jagatgurum Padapadmitayo Sritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu. So dear brothers, monks and brahmacharis, and also the devotees. So I have been asked by the president of this Advaita Ashrama, Swami Suparnananda, to speak about Sri Ramakrishna and his Advaita sadhana, practice of Advaita philosophy. We all know that Sri Ramakrishna started his spiritual sadhana with the worship of the Kali, the mother. And humanity would declare him as the blithe child of the mother. Mayer Chele, that is his best identity. Sri Ramakrishna is nothing but the child of the Mother Kali. But we also know that he didn't stop there. He had the vision of Mother Kali when he was very much agonized to see the face of Mother. And you all know the Mother appeared before him in the form of huge light, brilliance of light. Brilliance of light. The light engulfed him and he became unconscious. This all he did without any direct spiritual guide. Those who study his life would all certify that he, with the help of his guru, people say that he is Kenaram Bhattacharya or so. He started his spiritual life like us and had the vision of the Mother that way, in the form of light. It is not, and afterwards, we all know how he had to play with Mother Kali. Mother's Leela with him. It's very interesting that we all know. Now he moved on to different sadhanas with different gurus who came to Dakshineshwar on their own, maybe at the behest of Mother Kali. At least we think so. Bhairavi Brahmani came and she initiated him into the Vaishnava sadhana. And 64, as many as 64, Vaishnava Tantra sadhana. Vaishnava sadhana and Tantra sadhana put together. A very difficult sadhana, and within a very short time, Sri Ramakrishna mastered all the sadhana prakriyas, the details of the sadhana, and had the darshan also has become fulfilled in all these sadhanas. Then he needed special type of guru, another guru in the form of Govinda Rai, who initiated him into the Islam mantra. And especially to have the vision of the Lord Christ, Bhagavan Christ, he didn't have to undergo some such definite principle. He had the vision of Jesus Christ when he visited Shambhu Mallik's garden house near Dakshineshwar. You all know that. But again, he needed another guru to teach him the Advaita sadhana. Dotapuriji came over to Dakshineshwar and wanted to initiate him into the tradition of Advaita Vedanta. Till then, he was satisfied with the dualistic approach of the spiritual sadhana. All the deities, he had the vision, all the avatars, Muhammad and Christ, they are not the deities, they are avatars. He had the vision of these divine principles in some definite forms. So God with forms, he came to know. Now, this time, God, without any form and without any attribute or any gunas, he had to pass through that stage also. He didn't want to learn it from Totapuriji in the beginning, because he used to feel that he was a little child living his life under the full care of the mother. So he told Totapuriji, you all know this thing, then let me go to the mother and seek her permission. And mother assured him, go. He had come for you only. Okay? And he had the vision of the Advaita sadhana also. The fruits of Advaita sadhana. He was absorbed, lost in meditation, the formal aspect of Godhead, for full 3 days. And had the vision of oneness of existence. But the more important fact is that he went back to his own mother. There has been some changes there in his personality. But behind all these things, attainments, achievements, spiritual attainments, Mother, it is Mother who supremely reigns, supremely present in his life. So he had all the spiritual sadhanas that has been prescribed in the scriptures. God with form, with gunas, with qualities, like compassion, this and that, omniscient, omnipresent. God without form, but with gunas or attributes, without form. Sakar and Saguno. Nirakar and Saguno. When it is Nirakar, you can't call it God, it is Brahman, Nirakar Brahman. Sagun. That is the philosophy of the Brahmos, the philosophy of Ramanuj. It deals with mind only, no form. All gunas are present. You cannot see. Physically you cannot see the reality. But its presence is felt very much within. Just like air. Air you cannot see, but you feel its presence. When it flows by, you can have the feel of it. That is it. So that is a spiritual sadhana with God without a form, but with gunas or attributes. Then God without form and without attributes. That is Advaita Vedanta. Now all you know that this spiritual practice, the Advaita Vedanta, it requires some qualities on the part of the spiritual aspirants. Satsampada, Sadhan Chatushtaya. All these things you all know. I am not going to take away your time on this aspect anymore. Since few number of spiritual aspirants are qualified for Advaita Sadhana, in general there was a sort of antagonism prevailing in the country, the whole of India, especially in Bengal. That is, Advaita philosophy is the worst of all philosophies because it says that the world is false and Brahman alone is real. All else is real, Brahman alone is true. It is false, but still it is there, and the critics, they forwarded their argument like this: no, the world is so palpable, it is seen visible through our indriyas. It is very difficult for the Advaitins to silence these fellows. And these fellows were all great people. The quarrel between Dvaita and Advaita has been persisting even today. Even today. There is a great episode, very interesting episode. I tell you, brothers and dear devotees, that I wrote one article on Advaita Vedanta Sankipto Itihas, a brief history of Advaita Vedanta, in the Udbodhan Patrika in the 90s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 pages it covered. And after reading it, Shankari Prasad Basu telephoned me, Maharaj, what have you done? It is a great job, no doubt, but century-wise you would have dealt it. So I told him that I am blessed in the sense that you appreciated it. But you see, even this much, 12 pages, they thought, the authorities of the Udbodhan Patrika, that it is too much. You have to cut it short, still more. That's it. So one adhyaya, one chapter is needed to cover 1 century. The quarrel between Advaita and Advaita in 1 century, 1st century, 2nd century, 3rd century. That way you should proceed. And I can, but it is very difficult for me to get it published. And Swami Amarananda from Great, he also, while congratulating, he just wanted some copies of it, and I request the president of this Advaita Math, Advaita Ashram, to go through it, and if you so like, you can get it translated by some persons and publish it in the Prabuddha Bharat PB, if you so like. Interesting, very much, very interesting. And in Bengal especially, All India picture has not been quite different, mind that, this quarrel against Advaita philosophy. In Bengal especially, from the very beginning of the Renaissance, the leaders of Bengal, they scrupulously avoided, rejected Advaita philosophy. Even Ram Mohan Rai, he wrote to the Viceroy for the closure of the tolls. They used to give subsidy to the tolls. Huge amount they used to give subsidy. And he stopped it. Why? Well, to encourage Sanskrit study is like encouraging the people to live in dark, perpetual darkness. So much of hatred they have against this philosophy. It is life negating. Sanskrit literature, Sanskrit study is all futile. And Vidyasagar himself, such a Pandit, he wrote in 1850 to the Education Department, that you immediately remove the Advaita Tattva Viveka of Udayanacharya from the textbook of the university, graduation course. And they did. They did. So, the fate of Advaita philosophy in Bengal especially was sealed. And the Brahmas, even Arya Samajists, Dayananda Saraswati, Parthana Samajist, Theosophist, there was abhorrence, there was ill feeling towards this Advaita philosophy, and Vidyasagar Mahasaya, he clearly stated that it is a false philosophy. Brahman said it is a life negating, and Vidyasagar told it is a false philosophy. The world is false. World is not false, the philosophy itself is false. Just see. And I would request you to read one great poem by Rabindranath Tagore, Hing Ting Chot. He has made caricature with this Advaita theory and Mayavad, this and that. They didn't understand it. And even Swami Vivekananda, the member of Advaita, Brahma Samaj, who had faith in God without form, but with attributes, he used to subscribe to this view. And Sri Ramakrishna asked him, when Sri Ramakrishna was giving him some advice to the effect that everything is pulsating with life, everything is Chaitanya. Gotita, this plate, this glass, everything is Chaitanya, everything is animated. Well, yes. He laughed, he scoffed. scornfully laugh at him. Then you all know what was the result of that. He touched him and he used to feel like that. So unless you understand it, you have to ridicule. And everybody, the Advaita was their object of ridicule, simply. That was the state. And Sri Ramakrishna's Advaita sadhana had a perennial impact on each of us. Why? You can guess. Because it is his Advaita sadhana that has become the eloquent message of Swamiji. Do you know that? Swamiji did not preach. The Advaita experiences of Sri Ramakrishna. He preached what has been necessary for the world at large. And it was Advaita sadhana, Advaita Vedanta, and Advaita Vedanta as Sri Ramakrishna realized and taught Swamiji. That's why I emphatically say, that the sadhana of one has become the eloquent message of the other. So we must know what has been his experience, what he did, Sri Ramakrishna did. And he saved humanity from irreligion. He saved humanity. Today we appreciate Swamiji. It is all Sri Ramakrishna. All this came from Sri Ramakrishna himself. So you see, Sri Ramakrishna had so many gurus. Whenever necessary, the gurus came on their own and taught him. And in the Shakti Sadhana, Swami Suparnananda, that small book, a very interesting book, if you can go through it, you will immensely benefit. You will immensely benefit, I say. He said that yes, Guru is one, but Upagurus, there could be many. And for Sri Ramakrishna it was true. And Swami Suparnananda wrote it. Swami Bhuteshanandaji also wrote in the Mantradiksha Pustak, that very small book meant for the devotees. He also pointed there, being asked whether we can have more gurus. Well, yes, if necessary gurus, but Guru is one. But if you say that Kanada Bhattacharya was the only guru of Sri Ramakrishna, then you would be mistaken. And Sadhanandaji also went through Tantra Sadhana. And he received help from the father of Swami Ramakrishna Nandaji, Shashi's father. Anyway, so Vedanta that we receive from Sri Ramakrishna is quite different. That Vedanta which he preached cannot be questioned by anybody. So the quarrel between Dvaita and Advaita has come to an end. I should say that it started with Vyasacharya's Nyayamrita, and it came to an end with the Advaita Siddhi of whom? You know, Advaita Siddhi? Brother? Deepak? Madhusudan Saraswati. Unfortunately, we do not read it. We have to read. Madhusudan Saraswati is the last man with his Advaita Siddhi, who criticized threadbare Nyayamrita Vyasacharya. Just see, word by word, he established Advaita. As the record goes, he is the last man. This book, because the Advaita study has been removed from the syllabus of the Calcutta University or all the universities running under the British rule, obviously people remain ignorant about it. Saraswati, Madhusudan Saraswati was the foremost fighter, I should say, the then fighter who re-established the Advaita Vedanta. All these things are not being published right now, you see, because all are banned. The publication, there is no necessity of publishing all these things. Only in 1980s or so, some of the books are reprinted by the Ascetic Society only. It's very sad, I tell you. So do you have any copy of Advaita Siddhi of Madhusudan Acharya? Please see. Advaita Siddhi of Madhusudan Acharya. We have to read it. Then after Madhusudan Acharya, we see the upsurge of the Dvaita philosophy led by who? Sri Chaitanya. Sri Chaitanya and his disciples, Porikoros, Vallabhacharya, Vishwanath Chakravarti, these and that, Rup Sanatana, they started spreading the Chaitanya philosophy in the form of what? The philosophy called Achinta Veda Ved. Tattva, Achinta Veda. Ved, there is Veda, difference, there is no Veda, Aveda. Maybe Veda and Aveda, but it is Achinta, it cannot be grasped. But still, they would not say that there is Advaita at the end. And you all know, during the Renaissance period in Bengal especially, and in India, the movements led by Dayananda Saraswati, Prarthana Samajist, Theosophists and Brahma Samaj, the condition of Advaita was in a very critical state, very critical state. Then Sri Ramakrishna's appearance, he emerged as a beacon light to re-establish it. And the way he established it remains unquestionable. Three things came out of his Advaita sadhana. What are the three things? Three ideas, world-tottering ideas. The first one, bhavamukhe thako. Remain in the state of bhavamukha. You be at the source of all ideas. It is neither the absolute and nor the relative. You stay on the border. Is it a state of perfect unmanifest? I do not know. Who can say? He didn't explain it. But you have to explain. Is it in deep sleep or it is in a state of dream? Neither. It is in between. He sees that aspect, he sees that aspect, this aspect also. Both are true, immanent and absolute, both true. So bhavamukhi thaka, Sri Ramakrishna's declaration, bhavamukhi thaka, Ma bollen, mother says, remain in the state of bhavamukho. So all the bhavos, the mouth of all the bhavos, like gomukho, any moment it can come out with a jerk, with irresistible force. It is calm and quiet, any moment it can become manifest. So that's bhavamukho. It's a nice idea. It is not in the Veda, not in the Vedanta, I tell you. His experience long crossed the frontiers of Veda and Vedanta. This is one idea. In the spiritual plane, those who are at the spiritual plane, they must remain in that state. Bhavamukha. When you are in the plane of sadhana, or religious plane, you have yatamat tatapat. Had you not practiced and attained the truth in the Advaita philosophy, we would not have this dictum, this declaration, yatamat tatapat. In the religious plane, in the adhyatma kshetra, bhavamukhe thako, in the religious plane, dharma kshetra, when you are in the midst of religion, yatamat tatapat, you stay there, you respect all faith. It is because of Advaita philosophy. And last of all, it is very well known to you all. Shivo Jnane Jivo Seva. It is the direct application of the Advaita philosophy. When you are in the Vyavaharika stage, relative plane, you have to remain in this state. So, three major contributions of the philosophy of Sri Ramakrishna, which had become the philosophy of Swamiji himself, for the world people, not only for India, had their origin, these beautiful sentiments have their origin in the Advaita as experienced and lived by Sri Ramakrishna himself. And Sri Ramakrishna himself is now holding our culture and civilization together, holding the culture of the world culture. With these three ideas, world culture, world civilization will have a new mold, a new turn. Far-reaching effect. So people say the Advaita philosophy is life-negating. Sri Ramakrishna didn't study what Vidyasagar said or Ram Mohan said. But just see in what way he brought down that abstract philosophy into a practical life. This is a universal spiritual practice. And Swamiji gave a new name to that. Do you what? Seva Yoga. Be unselfish, be pure. From unselfish work, you grow in purity. You grow in spirit. And when you call spirit, you have to accept Advaitic concept. All other schools of thought, they have thought are centered around body, mind and intellect. As soon as they accept spirit as real, they cannot say that it is either Vishishtadvaita or Dvaita or Sagun Brahma or Achinta Vedanta. Never. They see that there is a tendency of the philosophy to be merged with Advaita, but still they won't accept. You may not accept, but you lose a lot. And it is Swamiji himself and Sri Ramakrishna, from taking all the lessons from Sri Ramakrishna, Swamiji himself proved that, yes, that saving sakar is with Sri Ramakrishna only. And here it is. I've come with this beautiful nectar, Advaita nectar, as lived and experienced by Sri Ramakrishna himself. You did not have to feel that world is not. From this world itself. Through Seva Yoga, you can have the vision of the Spirit, vision of the Absolute, without any form and without any attributes also. Very interesting. This Seva Yoga is not Karma Yoga as such of the Gita. In Karma Yoga, you have to give up the fruits of action. In Seva Yoga, you are required to serve. You are required to serve, knowing the served as being Shiva himself. Because as spirit, we are one. Not as mind, not as body. We have different bodies, different minds, but the same spirit runs through one and all. You may belong to any sect, you may belong to any caste, but you are ultimately pure. So that's why Mother Kali said to Sri Ramakrishna, now you go and receive instructions from Totapuri. He has come only for you. We sometimes say that Totapuriji came there to be fulfilled by Sri Ramakrishna himself. That's a nice thing. Sri Ramakrishna taught him that yes, that spirit is true, no doubt, the world is false, but you see, Mother is also real. But see the long-standing effect of Sri Ramakrishna sadhana of Advaita Vedanta. I told you in the beginning, had he not been ordained to receive such training from Totapuriji, we would not have this beautiful formula coming out of his experience in the form of three things: Bhavmukhi Thaka, Jatamot Tatapot, and Jeev Seva, Shivogyani. Seva Yoga. It's quite different from Karma Yoga as pronounced in the Bhagavad Gita. You need not have to give up anything. Ultimately, you will be doing that. But people are getting confused with the idea that we have to give up anything. Any fruits that comes out of my job, then how can I? We cannot just satisfy them. Go and do Seva Yoga. Because they are your very own. God resides in him. That's why you have to serve. God resides in him. You go and serve. And never exploit anybody. But we people, whom we are to serve, we are going to exploit. The worshipable and serviceable people, gods, are being exploited everywhere, killed even. That's a great philosophy. So these three things we get. That is why I say that Advaita Vedanta, it has become the cornerstone, I should say. This philosophy being taught by Kuttatwadapuriji and learned assiduously by Sri Ramakrishna himself was the saving sakar to humanity. He saved thereby humanity. And of course, Swamiji, by preaching this philosophy to the entire world, he revived the glory of Advaita Vedanta as seen by Shankaracharya, as propounded by Shankaracharya. It is also true. Think of it. And thereby putting an end to all quarrels and deliberations against Advaita philosophy as such. Henceforth, nobody would dare even venture speaking against Advaita philosophy. And I can tell you, even the Vaishnavas, the hardcore Vaishnavas, they have started one dispensary in their own little motts. They would mercilessly criticize 50 years ago. Now they have also started. Because they have now understood that in order to survive, we have to take to this seva. We cannot run away from the miseries of people. To be blessed with spiritual knowledge, spiritual experiences, we have been so long asked to give up everything and anything. To shun people by all means. Now just see, we are in the midst of this turmoil. And you have to come out unscathed, unsoiled, by the grace of Guru Maharaj. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Namaste. Jai.